Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye valahudi sanmyao samputoshi.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahadi samyao sambuddhase.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture. My name is Heng. Today is Sunday, November the 2nd, here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. It's November 1st back in California, and we are about to launch into our weekly exploration of the Flower Garland Sutra, Chapter 39, Entering the Dharma Realm, Merging with the Universe, 入法界品. So let's get ourselves started here. We're going to invoke spiritual presence first, inviting the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to draw near, and the Dharma protectors. And if we are successful in that endeavor, when they arrive, they bring with them bright light, blessings, happiness. Good news. Namo Ta Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Po Pu Sa. Namo Ta Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Po Pu Sa. Next thing that we do in our preparatory liturgy is we acknowledge country. We're here in Australia, and we respectfully acknowledge the Kombumerri people of the Ugambi language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where the monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 这是我们恭敬地承认与冈贝语族的孔布玛丽人，是我们寺院这里所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。And there's a tradition that for your lecture you want to ring a bell that echoes throughout 100 million worlds. So with that in mind, let's do it. bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法让万亿国众，共训其法界和平，利益报贪恼后的。Okay, that does it for our preliminaries. And welcome everybody once again. Glad you're here. We have translation happening into Mandarin and into Vietnamese, and I very much appreciate the kindness of the volunteers who make that possible. It's not easy to do that, certainly, and appreciate it. 所谓布施者必获其利益，若为乐故施，后必得安乐. That's what they say. They who practice making offerings will certainly obtain their reward. They who take delight in giving will later surely find peace and happiness. Okay, and hello to all of our regulars who are here every week. Sometimes we go through the locations where everybody is. We should actually check it out and see whether we haven't had representatives from every single province in China, from Hong Kong, from Taiwan, from Malaysia, from Singapore, from Vietnam, all the places where the Mahayana travels. I don't think we've ever had anyone from Japan, at least checking in on Zoom, and have not, and I don't know if we've ever had anybody from Korea. Welcome if that were to happen. We've got friends from both North and South Vietnam, from Philippines and from Indonesia, all over Australia. So welcome everybody, glad you're here. Now, to get us going, here's what I have in mind for today, and I hope everybody's going to enjoy our program. Sudana, our pilgrim, is traveling to a new country. He's meeting a new teacher, and we're just at the very beginning of that encounter. Sudana is a student. He meets these teachers, has to develop a friendship, a relationship, respectful awareness of what the teacher wants to teach him, and the teacher has to size up the student, figure out how he can expediently transmit the method, the practice, the Dharma practice that he's been practicing and has mastered to the new kid, to see if he can get it, if he can pick up on it and master it. That's the goal. So these encounters are fairly patterned. They're predictable, with some variation, and as we've mentioned many times, the variety of people and other non-humans, other beings that Sudana meets in 53 visits, 53 different people. He meets a whole, in Chinese they say, 各界人士, people from all walks of life. Among the first 10, and we're in number 7, he's met a sizable number of monks, bhikshus, but that doesn't, the front 10 are heavily front-loaded with bhikshus. Later, we find, including next week, we meet our first woman teacher. She's a lay woman, but we meet bhikshunis later, Buddhist nuns. We meet princes, princesses. We meet queens. We meet the Buddha's mother, Lady Maya. We meet female spirits, spirits that guard the night, spirits that protect the night, night-protecting spirits. Fascinating blend. 21 women out of the 53, almost half, of Sudana's teachers are female, and they teach him things that the men cannot, interestingly. So, this is a monk, and I've got his picture, show you picture of, let's see here. Oh, I'm going in the wrong direction here. Let's try that again. Here we go. We want, let's see here, notes to chapter 39. Let's see here. We'll find it. Ocean Banner Bhikshu. There we go. Here he is. Get a better shot. Here he is. There we go. Here's our bhikshu. This is the teacher. And of course, this is a woodblock cut, a woodblock print from 100, 200 years ago. And let's take a look. Picture is worth many words. He is sitting, the text specifies he's sitting in full lotus. So our teacher's meditating. He's meditating. And look at this little guy in front. This is the artist's vision of what Sudana must look like, building off the word tongzi, which means a young boy. In fact, Sudana is a spanking, strong, sturdy 20-year-old. As he travels through India, he's got to walk for months and months, years and years. So you know he's a fit and sturdy backpacker, camper, traveler. He's not a kid. He's not a baby. So he's there watching, carefully watching his teacher, figuring out what's going on. And what we're going to discover as we get started here in the text is, this is a bhikshu, his name is Ocean Banner, Hai Chuang Biqiu. And as he meditates, the text specifies he's in samadhi. Samadhi is this uniquely Buddhist method of meditation. It's what happens when you get good at your meditation and you sit long and you use the method of the Mahayana. You can ru, ding, ru, san mei. So this word ru, it does mean go into, like going into a room through a doorway. You ru, man, ru, fangzi. You go into it, you travel from one space outside the door to another space inside the door. That happens. But ru has another dimension to it, which I think is helpful when we understand samadhi, which is when you enter from outside through a door to the inside of the house or the room, there's a sense that the thing that enters is just this entity. It's just this solid object that doesn't change, goes through. I think when we're talking about samadhi, yeah, you enter, but the thing that goes in, that object, changes, transforms, transfigures. So it's much more like merging, so integrating. The thing that moves in changes, loses its solid shape, and takes on as much of the new as it holds on to the old, right? So the word integrate in English is a really good merging. You lose your hard boundaries and become one with the new space. So the chapter of our sutra is, the chapter in the sutra is called Ru Fa Jieping, entering the Dharma realm. But it makes much more sense to me to think that you integrate with the Dharma realm. You become one with, you merge with. Your boundaries change. You let go of this sense of self as a solid unit, right? So here is what our bhikshu is doing. Look at the picture. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In fact, the sutra gives us 14 places on Bhikshu Ocean Banner's body that emit clouds of beings. Yeah, that's the substance of his samadhi, is once he integrates into this new state through his meditation, places of his body, starting with the bottom of his feet, going up to the crown of his head, put forth all of these different clouds of beings. So it's a remarkable transformation that takes place. And we're going to find out every step of the way. So because there are 14 different groups mentioned, and each one has a remarkable, the clouds of beings that come out of each part of his body have things they do, they function. So it's quite lengthy. This particular visit is almost twice as long as the previous ones we've met. So we're going to have to go fairly briskly through each of these descriptions. The temptation is to want to savor every encounter and every line and squeeze it for the most juice out of it. But if we do that, it'll take forever to get through the text. So I'm going to be going a little quicker than before. All right, so here's our teacher, and here's our text. And let's get started. We read this bit last week, but we'll do it again to get the continuity. Here we go. 见似难行，智言菩提畔，摩尼聚落，周遍求密，海窗比丘，乃见其在经行地侧，结跏趺坐，入于三昧，理出入息，无别思觉，身安不动。Got it. Okay. Here we go together. He gradually traveled south until he came to the village named Milasvarana on the border of Jambudvipa. He looked everywhere for the Bhikshu Ocean Banner. Then he caught sight of that bhikshu seated in full lotus by the side of his walking meditation path. Sudana saw he had entered samadhi. His inhalations and exhalations had ceased, and he entertained no extraneous thoughts or awareness. His body was calm and unmoving. Okay, last week we already opened this passage up, but I wanted to add a little bit of flavor here. So he's traveling south. He comes to the new place on the border of Jambudvipa, the southern continent, and he looks around. He doesn't know where his teacher is. He's got the name of the town and he's got the name of the teacher, but he has to look around. And he catches sight of him, and what's he doing? He's meditating by the side of his walking meditation path. Sudana saw he'd entered samadhi. Okay, what is a walking meditation path? I'm glad you asked that question, because I'm happy to show you. Here are walking meditation paths. Right here. Here is one. See if we can get there without triggering Pinterests. There it is. Okay. So notice that there is fixed, rigid boundaries and flat, rammed earth. And this bhikshu is walking alongside. This is what a Thai forest meditation walking path looks like. Here is another one. This is made of wood, and it's raised up over the garden, over the vegetation, to keep the critters from being squashed by the monk. You think it's to save the monk from getting thorns in his foot. It's equally for the purpose of keeping the bugs free from the monk, right? So here's a picture of a monk on a walking path. It's not simply a sidewalk with no end. It's a fixed length path prepared for the monk to walk down one end and then back. Let's see if this image portrays it. Here we go. So again, raised boundaries. This is to keep the bugs from just running wholesale. Of course, longer leg bugs will have no problem hopping onto the path, but the path is often swept by the monk to save the lives of little creatures. So there is even a sutta on the Anguttara Nikayas about walking. So the Buddha did specifically talk about walking meditation. And I have an old Dharma friend, Ajahn Punadammo, from up in Canada, who has a little bit of his Dharma talk here, specifically instructing on walking meditation. So I'm going to play a little bit of this. There's Portuguese translations down below, if anybody can use those translations. Here we go.
A walking path outside, beaten earth, often raised in a wooden frame as part of the equipment. The Buddha praised walking meditation, saying that samadhi built up while walking lasts a long time. So this is because I think that it's a little bit more difficult to develop the samadhi because there's somewhat more distraction while walking. But then if you take that samadhi built up while walking and take it into the sitting posture, your sit will be that much stronger.
Okay, this is Ajahn Punadammo from up in Thunder Bay, Ontario. And he makes a good point that the Buddha praised meditation, praised walking meditation, known in Chinese as jingxing, known in Japanese as kinhin. He praised it because the obvious, simple explanation, which is as soon as you uncross your legs and stand up and start to walk, you're engaging more of your senses. Your body is engaged, and of course the input increases. And yet it's still, because what you're doing is you're slowly putting one foot in front of the other. It's a very simple action, but it engages more of your senses. If in this simple action you can keep your mind quiet as your other senses, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, sensations of touch and all, as they activate, if you can keep your mind quiet, when it's time to sit again, your ability to calm the mind is that much deeper, that much stronger. So jingxing, walking meditation, is definitely an aid to the way. 助道之法. It's a Dharma that aids the way. So that's Sudana catches sight of Haichuang Biqiu, and he's sitting beside his walking path. Now, the Thai forest tradition, as Master Punyadammo he's a disciple in the Ajahn Chah lineage from the Thai forest tradition. He illustrates his talk with two typical walking meditation trails that monks in the Thai forest tradition will have beside their hut, beside their kuti, beside their maupang, their meditation hut. And a monk will punctuate his seated meditation every day with periods of walking meditation. And he's got that long, narrow footpath that he can, without engaging random thoughts, without having to hassle any other issues, he can simply move his body from seated to walking. And then go back to sitting, and he's activated his blood, he's activated his lungs, and he's ready to sit again. Okay, so that's the Thai forest tradition. What did the Chinese Mahayana do with that? Well, Chan sessions. When I first encountered a Chan session at Gold Mountain Monastery, as taught by Master Hsuan and as practiced by the monk who you see on my desktop, Master Empty Cloud, Jingxing, walking meditation, is added to the sitting meditation as a way to invigorate the body. It's very different in style. It's identical in purpose. The same principles involved, but the style is very different. In the Chinese Mahayana, let's say, yesterday I was explaining the Master Empty Cloud picture biography, and our teacher, who is right there on your screen in front of you, he was in Yunnan province at a monastery called Zhusheng Si, not far from the city of Dali in Yunnan. And as he transmitted the precepts to 1,000 monks and nuns, brand new Xin Jiezi, the new monks and nuns, the Buddhist Sangha grew by 1,000 after this event in the year 1911 in Yunnan province. And after the precepts were transmitted, first thing that Master Empty Cloud did was convene a Chan session. The Chan session took 49 days, 7 weeks. Qi, 7-week, 7-day Chan retreats. Now, the way that the Chinese Mahayana, the Chan school, organizes walking meditation is bell is rung, there's the end of the sit, and everybody stands up, and the monk in charge hits sometimes they take their wooden sword and they hit it on the floor, clunk, clunk, like that. And everybody starts to walk. And the way they walk, I was describing my experience at Zhenru Si, True Sessionist Monastery's Chan Hall. And the way you move your hands is very strictly regimented, regulated. So how much you can raise your right hand, how you move your left hand, those are all prescribed. It's all done correctly, the same. So you don't have to think. You don't have to watch and notice what the person next to you is doing. You just use the motions, and you walk for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, different according to the monastery. And then at the end, the monk says, run, and you vigorously run. You really run around the room, and then hits the sword again, tonk, and you stop, dead still, and return to your seat. So the walking meditation in the Chinese Mahayana is very athletic, very vigorous, and when you sit, you've really recycled your blood circulation, recycled your lungs, your breathing, and you're ready to sit still again. So it's the alternation between vigorous movement and complete stillness that keeps the progress of the meditation going throughout the day. So it's the Thai forest monks, mostly as I've seen them, they walk in a meditative way, and in fact, I'll share with everyone, here's Ajahn Punya. There is a website that people can check out, I'll put it in the chat, that explains the techniques for walking, how to do it with all the benefits. Find a location, start your steps, how to step, how fast, hands and arms, focusing attention, what to do when the mind wanders, integrating walking meditation to your daily life and the benefits. So this is In the Thai tradition, also in the Burmese tradition of Mahasi Sayadaw, there's very, very strict mindfulness of the foot lifting off the ground, the toes, the sole, the heel, putting the foot back down, the heel, the sole, the toes, and the knee lifting, and so it's very focused attention to every aspect of the body's movement through space. That's so different from the Mahayana version of Chi, the monks shouting, everybody responding, Chi, walking in the Chan hall, running in the Chan hall, stopping still, sitting again. So this is various versions of the Buddha's principle of walking as the perfect time to meditate. Every time, everything that I'm describing is physical, and of course, the point of moving the body through space and then sitting is to focus on the mind. Pay attention to what the mind is doing. And as Master Hua's verse goes, 行住坐卧不立这个离了这个当面错过 walking, standing, sitting, reclining, keep your mind focused on this. Once you let this go, this meaning mindfulness of the Huato, of the word topic, the meditation topic, once you lose sight of this, before your eyes, you've gone amiss. You've lost it. You've lost the point. So this is the experience of Chan. In the Chinese tradition and in the Thai forest tradition, Sudana, meeting his teacher Ocean Banner, is set in India, but it could be anywhere. And I have one more cultural version to share. In 1969, I was a callous 20-year-old, a callow youth, experiencing Japanese Zen for the first time in Kyoto, in the Soto school of Dogen and his lineage. The Caodongzong in Japan, Soto Shiu. So in Antaiji, the temple where I was practicing, the Zendo, the Chan hall, was very small. And because Uchiyama Hosho Roshi was willing to let Westerners in, it was popular. Uchiyama Roshi was a big-hearted 20th century teacher at the time. So he was not afraid of including Westerners in the Chan hall. So we were, and that's not true of other monasteries in Japan. They'd had bad experiences letting Westerners in. There were four of us, Gaijin Waigoren, who were allowed in. And the Chan hall was tiny, the Zendo was tiny. So in order to do Kinhin, Jingxing, walking meditation, there was strictly prescribed. You had to hold your hands just like this, in front of the breastbone. And the steps that you made with your foot were half the length of your foot. So one step, move your one foot halfway the length of the other. Step number two, like this. So we progressed around the Zendo very slowly. And you kind of felt like a trapeze artist on a trapeze, on a wire, or a ballet dancer taking slow steps. And every culture has a different approach, and you accord with conditions. The conditions in Antaiji in Kyoto were tiny hall, many people. You can't. If you take 3 steps, you banged into the person in front of you. You've been banged into from behind. So the steps have to be baby steps. And you keep mindful bit by bit. The Chan hall on Cloud Dwelling Mountain, Chi, everybody run, boom, 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 stop. And the Thai forest monks are slowly, contemplatively keeping mindful, going down the forest path, reaching the end, turning and returning back. Hitting the end, turning back. Very different approaches, keeping the same practice, but according with the conditions. So this idea of Jingxing, walking meditation, is very much something that the Buddha encouraged. And the ocean banner had entered samadhi. We talked last week about the 4 dhyanas, where your breathing stops and your heartbeat stops and your coarse thoughts stop, and then your subtle thoughts stop entirely. And with each physical transformation, there is a complementary rise in joy and physical pleasure. So the 4 dhyanas, the ability to ru ding, ru san mei, to merge into samadhi, brings with it physical pleasure. It's just astonishing how you kind of run out of words, and you can tell that this is the human experience of samadhi, because the names in Chinese of the 4 stages of samadhi use the words for happiness, for joy, for bliss, for pleasure. So, Li Sheng Xi Le Di, the stage of happiness, Xi Le, when you go beyond what ordinary people can experience. Li Sheng Xi Le Di, that's the first dhyana. And then Ding Sheng Xi Le Di, the stage of happiness and joy when samadhi is born. The Li Xi Miao Le Di, the stage that goes beyond, the stage of joy that goes beyond happiness. And then She Nian Qing Jing Di, the stage of purity when you leave all thoughts behind whatsoever. So the body really, really likes samadhi, states of samadhi. And you have to be patient and sit through the calming down of the search for highs and the running from lows. Mostly, I know my life before meditation, in terms of physical sensation, was always looking for a better high and trying to avoid lower lows, right? So people would say, yeah, what else is there? Well, calm down that search. Bring the high down to the middle and lift the low up to the middle, and you can find this state of transformation where the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, particularly the body. I don't know if anybody's ever done a dopamine research to see what is released inside the body systems when samadhi takes over, but guaranteed it's a source of happiness that if you could bottle it, if you could package it and sell it, you would be a rich person. Okay, what happens when Bhikshu Hai Chuang enters samadhi? We're about to discover that next. Let's do paragraph at a time. We'll do this much. Here we go. 从其足下出无数百千亿长者，居士婆罗门众，皆以种种诸庄严具，庄严其身，习着宝冠，顶系明珠。Okay, here we go. Countless, hundreds of thousands of millions of multitudes of elders, lay people, and Brahmins came from the soles of his feet, and their bodies were adorned by fine jewels. Each of them wore a jeweled headdress, the crown of which carried a luminescent pearl. Okay, here we go. We're following the Chinese sentence order here. Okay, now, this is the first of the 14 parts of the body that are emitting crowds and clouds and multitudes of beings from his samadhi coming out of his body. The numbers, countless hundreds of thousands of millions of multitudes. That's an Avatamsaka number. 华眼睛的数目, right? So hundreds of thousands of millions, that's a lot. And in other words, more than you can count, from the soles of his feet. Sudana's watching this happen. So as the places on the body grow and progress, the quality in terms of spirituality of the beings also increases. So there's a match between where on the body and who is emerging, who's coming out. So the first group are elders, lay people, and Brahmins. Anybody, I could probably get in trouble with this one, but anyone who studies the sociology of religion, 宗教学的社会方面，社会学, right? So the phenomenology of religion. So in religion, in India, the caste system, right away. Brahmins are on top, Boloman. The Brahmins are the foremost of the four castes, and you're born into this caste. And if you are a Brahmin, you have privileges, you have status, you have social expectations that are very, very different from the other three castes. So the Brahmins, my third Chinese teacher was at my university at Oakland in Michigan. A wonderful Brahmin. His name was Amitendranath Tagore. He was the grandnephew of the great poet Rabindranath Tagore. And Amit Tagore and his wife and son were a wonderful couple who had found a home in Michigan, and he was an author, a translator, and an academic, and a really fine classroom teacher who had gone to Beijing as a young man and had made the study of China and Chinese language his profession as well. But Amit Tagore, because he was absolutely a Brahmin, he explained to us, who were students of Buddhism and just, students of China and Chinese studies and all, he explained that for Brahmins, they understand that they must get up early in the morning or the sun won't rise. There is this sense that to use the word arrogance doesn't apply. It's way beyond arrogance. It's the sense that the universe waits for the Brahmins to perform their daily fire-worshipping rituals. And they do. And those who, of course, I'm sure there are Brahmins who are maybe callous or bored or whatever. But my experience with the Brahmins whom I've met, who were initiated into the teachings of their religion, this form of Brahmin Hinduism, that they take it very seriously. And not a day passes when they are remiss in their duties of purity, of kindling the fires, of chanting from the Vedas, of doing what must happen to keep the universe turning as it should, right? So Professor Tagore, of course, had some perspective on this. He'd studied around the world, and he was able to present this view with a certain amount of self-reflective humor. But it was wonderful to have a look behind the curtain, behind the scenes, at the actual understanding of what was required of a proper Brahmin, right? So here, coming out of the bottom, the soles of his feet, we have elders who are long practitioners, lay people who are vigorous in their support of the Sangha, and then the Brahmins, who are this premier caste. And so here's the Avatamsaka. This, I say I can get in trouble with this. Is the Avatamsaka throwing a bit of shade at the Hindus? Maybe. People say, well, wait a minute, the Buddha's not doing any sort of cynical division. He's not. No, of course not. But notice that Prince Siddhartha, the young man who became the Buddha, was not a Brahmin. He was a Kshatriya. He was the next caste down. And we'll find out about them in a minute. So anytime, like last week we sang the song Sunita, who was the bottom. He was a fourth caste, the lowest caste. And at the end of the song, at the end of the poem, which the Buddha didn't write, but maybe he editorialized, he said, through austerity, celibacy, restraint, and self-control, the untouchable becomes a real Brahmin. He's a Brahmin supreme, not just by birth, but by effort, but by his exhorting in the Dharma. So maybe a little bit of social commentary in there. But nonetheless, coming out of the soles of the feet, we have the highest caste, the lowest part of the body. Not for sure the Brahmins would be happy with that. But nonetheless, here we are. They come out, their bodies are adorned by fine jewels. Each of them wear a jeweled headdress and a crown on the head which carries a luminescent pearl. How sublime they appear. And we have a Chinese commentator, Tang Dynasty commentator, Master Changguan, known as Qingliang Guoshi, the national master, pure and cool. And he doesn't indulge in he doesn't analyze it in terms of social critique or competition among religions. Instead, he talks about how this first group of cultivators emerging from the soles of the feet of Ocean Vanner are deep practitioners of the Dharma. That's what they are. We have elders, Zhangzhe. Our last teacher was elder liberation, right? So here is someone who has been practicing the Dharma for a long time. Lay people come forward. They are pure in conduct. They are tireless in their support of the Sangha. And then we have the Brahmins, who are steadfast in their keeping the sun turning around the sky in its track through their support of fire, their worship of fire. And they come forward. The sutra paints them as being beautifully adorned, beautifully decorated. So the first group that comes out are lay practitioners. Okay, we're going to continue. What happens next? How does the Avatamsaka Sutra give us a picture of this first group? Let's do the next chunk. Here we go. Starting here. 普往十方. This is one more time. 普往十方. 一切世界. 于一切宝. 一切璎珞. 一切衣服. 一切饮食. 如法上位. 一切花. 一切满. 一切香. 一切图香. 一切娱乐之生之住. Okay, more. We get some real details about how they appear. Ready? Here we go, starting with they traveled. They traveled to all worlds of the 10 directions. They bestowed a variety of gems which fell like rain, including a variety of beads and necklaces, a variety of garments, a variety of food and drink, which was blessed with superior flavor that fit the Dharma's conditions, a variety of flowers, a variety of garlands, a variety of fragrances, a variety of paste incense, and a variety of delightful provisions. Okay, what are they doing? They're making offerings. That's what the first group does, and it's suitable for elders, lay people, and Brahmins to be the lay community. They are Dharma protectors, Dharma supporters, and without them, the Sangha cannot survive. So they come forward first. This is the foundation of a Buddhist community. And look at their behavior is it's outlined in clear detail by the sutra. This is what they do. And I want to point out something that I've always admired about the Mahayana school. That is to say, these offerings are things that anybody can offer. The democratic nature of what lay people offer to the Sangha is vast. It's wide, wide open. Gems, yeah, if you have them, but beads, necklaces, clothing, food and drink, delicious food and drink, flowers and garlands, incense, and provisions. This is something that poor people can offer to the Sangha, and it's no less valuable. Okay? This is opening, what the Buddha did in this gesture is he cut through the caste system, which is absolutely rigid and unbreakable in India. And people would tell you around the world that caste is often determined entirely by wealth. And that wealth often, I'm going to sneeze, excuse me here. Rich people rarely get rich on their own effort. Often it's inherited. So caste tends to perpetuate itself, and so those honored in society through wealth and possessions, in many cases, did nothing to earn it. So to have the Buddha say, I'm going to just set that aside and make the Sangha post-caste, beyond caste. So someone who's a Brahmin is standing in line holding his bowl behind someone who was a rag picker but who left home first. That's how the Buddha ordered his Sangha. Likewise, if you want to keep their spiritual lifestyle going, here's what they could use: clothes, bedding, food and drink, and medicine for when they're sick. That's what they can use. So this is the way the Buddha created the conditions for his community to sustain itself regardless of the neighborhood the monastery is located in, regardless of the country where the bhikshus find themselves, regardless of the world where the Buddha appears. The same requisites for the Sangha, the basics, are what are welcomed and encouraged. Okay. Take another look here. Now we get a further detail of how the Buddha in the Avatamsaka Sutra defines the laity. Here we go. 于一切处，就摄一切贫穷众生，安慰一切苦恼众生，皆令欢喜，心意清净，成就无上菩提之道。Wherever they were, they rescued destitute beings from poverty and gathered them together. They comforted distraught and afflicted beings and made them happy. They made beings' minds and intentions pure so they could realize the unsurpassed way to Bodhi. Okay, this first group coming from the soles of the feet of the monk in Samadhi, amazing, rescued destitute beings from poverty and brought them together into groups so they could support each other. Look at that. The sutra is giving us a socially active sangha. The wealth is focused in everyday goods that you can use to sustain your life of cultivation, and you have another purpose of these offerings, which is to supply the needs of poor people. Furthermore, you comfort beings who are afflicted, and you make them happy. And then you go, once their bodies are happy, you go to their minds, and you make their intentions pure, so they look beyond personal, physical pleasure and well-being into spiritual well-being. How about that? This is the Mahayana. I really like this section of text because it gives a sense of connection to the world around them by the heroes of the sutra. It's directly in the sutra to put your efforts into social action, into being aware of the conditions of others around you. Right? This is not people who say, "Oh, you Buddhist, you're just escaping the world into nirvana." That's not what I'm reading here on the page. This is the Avatamsaka Sutra. This is the scripture that talks about how we're supposed to do it if we're engaged. So we have Bhikkhu Bodhi, our elder, senior monk, who's cultivating up at Zhuangyin Monastery in upstate New York on the Hudson River, who created Buddhist Global Relief, BGR, Buddhist Global Relief, creating this welfare organization that feeds hungry people worldwide, takes on projects across the globe, and turns extra offerings into food, into people's mouths. Buddhist Global Relief has an annual event called Walk to Feed the Hungry, and we have taken part in this over the years, in the initial year and year after year. Started out, I think, in one city, and now it's in hundreds of cities worldwide. I'm on the advisory board, and our monk Jin Chuan is on the board of directors. So Bhikkhu Bodhi is aware of that we elders are getting older, and he's working to make the board of directors younger, to get young people involved in the day-to-day hands-on administering of Buddhist Global Relief. BGR.org or .net. Let me see. I want to find that for folks. BGR, Buddhist Global Relief. Buddhist Global Relief. Here we are. Buddhist Global. Try again. Buddhist Global Relief. Here it is. BuddhistGlobalRelief.org, Compassion in Action. Here it is. Buddhist Action to Feed the Hungry, an online gathering. Now, here's the mission, how we serve. Project areas: food assistance, education, women's empowerment, and sustainable agriculture. This is a really bit of good news, and it's so different than people's understanding about how, Buddhists are unconcerned. So Bhikkhu Bodhi, lay people, Bhikshu Jin Chuan, there's our Bhikshu. So Buddhist Global Relief, I'm going to put that link in the chat as well, so you can pass that on to folks. Really, they're very, very responsible with their money, so any offerings made to Buddhist Global Relief is handled responsibly. Highly recommended that people find out more about BGR. So here is the Avatamsaka Sutras encouraging to do the very same thing, right? Wherever they were, they rescued destitute beings from poverty and gathered them together. How about that? Comforting the distraught and afflicted beings and made them happy. Making beings' minds and intentions pure so they could realize the unsurpassed way to Bodhi. All right. That really changes people's vision of how Buddhists are kind of world rejecting, right? Not the case at all. If you want an authority of how Buddhists are supposed to behave, go to the Avatamsaka Sutra and see what it says about how it recommends, it models bhikshus, Buddhists operating in the world. Okay, and mind you, this comes from the soles of the feet of a monk in meditation. So the blending of world transcending practices and world immanent, world entering mindfulness and actions to keep the goodness alive in the world. Okay, we're going to do one more here, and we'll start right out. Let me give you the Chinese. You can repeat after me if you care to. 从其两息出无数百千亿刹地里波罗满众皆悉聪慧种种思想种种形貌种种衣服上妙庄严普遍十方一切世界爱于同事摄助众生所谓贫者令足病者令愈危者令安不者令止有忧苦者先使快乐复益方便而劝导之皆令摄恶安住善法 Good stuff. Okay, here we go. Countless hundreds of thousands of millions of multitudes of wise and clever kshatriyas and brahmins came from both of his knees. Their physical characteristics and features and their garments were superior, fine and adorned. They filled up worlds in all directions, and they gathered in all beings with kind words and with cooperation. Specifically, they guided the poor towards wealth. They showed the ill how to get well. They brought those in danger to safety. They pacified the frightened. They made worried people happy. Moreover, they skillfully guided them so that they left evil behind and rested at peace in wholesome dharmas. Okay, once again, we're going up the body and also up the, the status of the beings involved, but we'll see how, whether that is, those two are keeping pace going up. Here are kshatriyas. What are they? Wise and clever. Kshatriyas are the warrior class, the landlords, the aristocrats, the kings, right? The ruling class. And interestingly, as Master Chengguan of the Tang Dynasty does his commentary, he's very specific that these are the, he tells you that these, the Chinese counterparts are often greedy and there's a little bit of social commentary there too, because if anybody is going to be corrupt and greedy, it's the landlords. and the ruling class, the what do you say, the 贵族, right? So he points to this group, and at the same time, they have power in society to be able to do good, and in this case, that's what they're doing. So they are mentioned here as being, let's see, 武术茶地里波罗门皆是聪慧. They are clever and wise. They're clever and wise. So these are obviously enlightened aristocrats who are using their wealth and their position, their status in society to be of benefit. Okay. They come from his knees. They were superior, fine, and adorned in their features and their characteristics. Their clothes, they're wearing stylish clothes. They filled up worlds in all directions. They gathered everybody together using two kinds of giving, two of the four kinds of giving. 爱与同事. They use kind words to warm their hearts, and then they cooperate with them. They work together to be of service. And it says specifically, what does it mean? What are these aristocrats and wealthy people doing? They guided the poor towards wealth. They guided the sick towards health. They brought people in danger to safety. The frightened, the fearful, they calmed their minds. The worried, the anxious, they made them happy. They guided them away from evil doing towards goodness and brought them safely to wholesome practices. I tell you, not a bit of selfishness there, not a bit of corruption, no greed, right? Every action of these kshatriyas, the wealthy, the plutocrats, the leaders of society here are not amassing wealth. They're distributing wealth. And their concern is for the well-being of who? Poor people, sick people, people in danger, fearful people. They're doing everything they can to make their lives better. Yay, Avatamsaka Sutra. How about that? Can you imagine anything better in terms of just virtuous kindness, social well-being? As a model for how to be a better person, I can't think of anything brighter and kinder here. Look at that. Yeah, and people say, oh, that Avatamsaka Sutra is just Buddhist philosophy. It's too lofty. Nobody can understand it. Don't even bother to open the cover. Right? Nah, this is a recipe for social welfare. This is progressive politics. Yeah, there you go. Okay, there we go. We've done two. There's more to come. I wanted to share a song that by the way, if anybody has questions, please type them in. Terry will be happy to gather them and translate them, get them ready for answers. This is a song about samadhi, and I'm going to explain it first. The Buddha got enlightened underneath the tree, the Bodhi tree. His mind was like a round full moon, no darkness left, because he entered samadhi. He put on samadhi shoes. Not really, that's a metaphor. Put on samadhi shoes, walked all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Calms your mind and body. Say goodbye to the blues. Walk all the way to Buddhahood as we put on samadhi shoes. Samadhi concentration comes from where? Precepts, pure. Tame the body, mouth, and mind, and merge into samadhi's door. Because we put on samadhi shoes, walk all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. I held my precepts purely when sitting in the hall, but when I walked out the zendo door, I couldn't hold those rules at all. Oh, a little bit of self-awareness here. That's the problem. Why so few people can actually enter samadhi, because we don't hold those rules once we uncross our legs, put on samadhi shoes. What happens? My eyes attach to beauty, my ears love pretty sounds, but when it's time to meditate, because I'm outflowing, my mind turns upside down until I put on samadhi shoes. Then I can walk all the way to Buddhahood. Samadhi tames my senses. I turn the light around, hui guang fan zhao. My thoughts are like a gentle stream, avoiding all extremes. And I hear compassion's sound when I put on samadhi shoes. Then this last verse is kind of a joke, but we include it there for those of us who remember what it was like when we first began to meditate. My parents used to bug me. I could do nothing right. Then I taught them how to meditate, and they never get uptight because they put on samadhi shoes, right? Okay, so let's see if we can't get some encouragement to put on samadhi shoes ourselves. Here we go. The Buddha got enlightened underneath the tree. His mind was like a round full moon, 'cause he entered samadhi. Put on samadhi shoes. Put on samadhi shoes. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Calm your mind and body. Say goodbye to the blues. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Samadhi concentration comes from precepts pure. Tame your body, mouth, and mind. Walk through samadhi's door. Put on samadhi shoes. Put on samadhi shoes. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Calm your mind and body. Say goodbye to the blues. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. I held my precepts purely when sitting in the hall, but when I walked out that zendo door, I couldn't hold those rules at all until I put on samadhi shoes. Put on samadhi shoes. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Calm my mind and body. Say goodbye to the blues. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. My eyes attached to beauty. My ears love pretty sounds. When it's time to meditate, my mind turns upside down till I put on samadhi shoes. Put on samadhi shoes. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Calm your mind and body. Say goodbye to the blues. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Samadhi tames my senses. I turn the light around. My thoughts are like a gentle stream, and I hear compassion's sound. I put on samadhi shoes. Put on samadhi shoes. Walking to Buddhahood, put on samadhi shoes. Mind and body, say goodbye to the blues. Walking all the way to Buddhahood, put on samadhi shoes. Okay, last verse. My parents used to bug me, I could do nothing right, until they learned to meditate. Now they never get uptight. We put on samadhi shoes, put on samadhi shoes, walking all the way to Buddhahood, put on samadhi shoes. Take the mind and body, say goodbye to the blues, walking all the way to Buddhahood, put on samadhi shoes. Hey, you know, there's a bonus verse. I meditate each morning, I join the marketplace, because I wear samadhi shoes. There's a smile upon my face. Put on samadhi shoes. Last chance, here we go. Put on samadhi shoes, walking all the way to Buddhahood, put on samadhi shoes. Take the mind and body, say goodbye to the blues, walking all the way to Buddhahood, put on samadhi shoes, put on samadhi shoes, put on samadhi shoes. One might hope. Good principle. Okay, we're going to, wearing samadhi shoes, go out to Q&A. Let's see here. What have we got? Okay, let's see here. 请问法师，如果想启迪其他众生一些佛法的道理，如觉得自己能力不够，可以会是去做吗？这样可以对治静慢啊？会不会是否如法 ？Okay, the question is, if I want to instruct others, encourage others towards the Dharma principles, if I feel like I don't know enough, my strength isn't enough, should I try or should I not? Would it increase my own arrogance? Is this in accord with Dharma? Well, really good question. You've asked 3 or 4 questions, and you've thought about it back and forth, and I appreciate the sensitivity to the issues here. What Master Hua encouraged was that first question, if I feel like I don't know enough, should I try it or not? Shifu said, if you know one part of Dharma, you can teach one part of Dharma. If you know 10 parts, 100 parts, you can teach 10 or 100 parts of Dharma. And when he said that to us in America, it was because there was nobody else even trying. We were the very, very tip of the spear. We were the pioneers breaking the ground in Westerners speaking Dharma at all, even putting the words of the traditional Mahayana teachings into English. Nobody had ever heard Bodhisattva, Prajna Paramita, kindness and compassion. These were brand new ideas at the time for the West. So that's the situation where Shifu encouraged us to go ahead and teach. My experience teaching is that words are problematic when explaining Dharma to people around you, particularly your family. Because many of us are brand new in cultivating the way, so people I remember when I first came back home as a brand new monk, I was full of enthusiasm. I was a zealot, right? The word zealous. I was a zealot. I was full of fire, wanting people to quickly understand the Dharma because it was so good. And the people around me just kind of rolled their eyes. It was like, oh boy, here he comes again, preach to us, right? So they knew me from earliest days when I was, a kid with all kinds of troubles like everybody else. And now I'm religious. Now I'm a holy guy. So they were very defended against anything that I was going to say about my excitement about my new religion. So it took a while to recognize that when I showed up wanting to turn the Dharma wheel, people ran the other way. I don't blame them. I was pretty hard to take. So yes, you are sensitive to that. If you say 觉得自己的能力不够，可以会试一试嘛. So what do you do if you know that you're a brand new believer and the people around you, you see the people around you as someone to win, someone to save, someone to convince? Definitely we are sensitive to being sold things. We don't like people trying to sell us things. So what do you do as a brand new Buddhist who is wanting to teach 1 part, 10 parts, 100 parts of Dharma that you understand are precious treasures? The thing to do is to teach by example. Teach wordlessly. 现身说法. Teach by example. Embody the Dharma. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Don't preach it, show it instead. And what I mean by that is, if you can be in a situation where beforehand, before you met the Dharma, you might have gotten angry, you might have responded with anger and fire when somebody told you no, somebody got in your way, somebody frustrated the things you wanted. If in that situation you can be patient instead, pull the fire back and look at it from the point of view of the person who's telling you no, you will have been explaining the Dharma in the very best way. People will recognize that you have actually changed your mind. They will want to know why, and they'll look at you with new eyes. Maybe there's something to this Buddhism after all, if it could change your bad temper into patience and kindness. There's an example. Here's another one. If in the past you would carelessly use 4-letter words, if you would use profanity or words that belittled other people, and you stop doing that, if instead you use kind words or even just remove harsh words entirely from your speech, say less. If you don't gossip, 讲是讲非，是是非非，啰啰嗦嗦. If you simply remove gossip, talking about the third party when that person's not there, people will notice. They will recognize that because you're a Buddhist, you are different. You have changed. You have scored points. That's the very best. So, 以身作则, teach by example. It works. People are moved even though you didn't say a word of Dharma, right? You spoke loudly, and you are the best advertisement for cultivation because you yourself have actually put the principles into practice. Okay, will that increase arrogance? No. The Venerable Master once said, reciting the Recompassion Mantra for 3 years can purify the karmic mirror platform. Are there other Dharma methods that can achieve the same effect? How can we know when the result has been achieved? Gratefully seeking the Masters. Okay. 上人曾经说过，念大悲咒不是说大悲咒，念大悲咒3念可以清净 那个涅镜台，这个还是其他们呢？可以吗？其他的方法，我们怎么能知道结果吗 ？OK， 什么叫涅镜台？你清楚吗？ Yeah, I don't. These Shifu said that, talking about our. We have among the 5 schools, this is called the Mi Zong, right? Hanchuan Fojiao, the Mi Zong. The secret school, the esoteric school, the mantra school, Mantrayana. In the process of sharing Guanyin Bodhisattva's Great Compassion Mantra, we hear words like Nie Jing Tai, right? Like the demon, the Zhao Yao Jing, right? Zhao Mo Jingzi, things like that. The demon spotting mirror, things like that. Before you even know what it is, you want to know how to work it, and if some other method can get you there. Here's my advice. These landmarks, these milestones along the path towards mastery of mantras happen spontaneously. You don't have to ask it. You don't have to ask about it. When the time comes, if such a thing has happened, you will know. You will know. And for me to try to tell you what it is, you're assuming that I understand it. You're assuming that I have mastered it and can share it with you in a couple words, a couple sentences. I really, really like the Da Bei Zhou. I enjoy reciting the Great Compassion Mantra. It has made my mind a very different place, and that's good enough for me. When I recite the Great Compassion Mantra, I feel myself closer to Guanyin Bodhisattva. I can feel things like fear kind of melt away when I recite the mantra, because it gives me a solid foundation of kindness and compassion in my mind. That's why I'm reciting. I'm not looking at my wristwatch hoping that the 3 years happens in a hurry so I can get the demon spotting mirror. I wouldn't know what to do if I had that. Why do you want to spot demons? Right? It's like, suppose you did. Suppose you spotted a demon. What would you do next? Right? It's like, come on. So these are, on the level of words, throwing them around, they're fun to play with. Don't worry about it. When the time comes, you won't have to ask, right? 知者不言，言者不知, right? Those who know don't say. Those who say probably don't know. Okay, one more. And then it's time. 请问法师，佛的无赖呀是空还是充满善法？因为遇事无论善恶法都要放下吗？ May I ask, Venerable Sir, is the Buddha's alaya consciousness empty, or is it filled with wholesome dharmas, since one must let go of all phenomena, good or bad, when encountering them? Okay, again, to be able for me to reflect on the alaya consciousness would indicate that I have somehow stepped beyond the alaya consciousness to be able to make a correct, authoritative comment about it. And I am completely, as we all are, integrated entirely into our eighth consciousness. The eighth consciousness, now mind you, there are schools of Buddhism don't even acknowledge that the eighth consciousness exists. But in our Wei Shi Zong, in our Yogacara Buddhist tradition, consciousness only, it proposes that the eighth consciousness is like a storehouse. It's called the Hanzang Shi, the storehouse consciousness. I can give you a theory about it, but it's not my experience. I haven't stepped aside from it to be able to identify it outside of myself. Can't, because that's kind of like telling the fish to describe water, right? So the alaya consciousness is described by particularly Xuanzang Fashi, Great Master Xuanzang, as being an infinitely large container that holds all of the contents of our behavior in life after life after life. Everyone has an eighth consciousness that contains all of the seeds, both good and bad, of everything we've ever done or said or thought. When the time comes, those seeds fruit, they flower, and they fruit, and they bring with them the results. We get the karma of all our behavior. So, in that sense, it's both empty and not empty at the same time. The eighth consciousness, when it has another portion, which is the collective side. Everything that we share with every citizen in our country, every citizen on planet Earth, every sentient creature, human, non-human, and the like, all share that other side of the eighth consciousness, which is the collective side. So there are these two different pieces of the collective unconscious that have been described by Master Xuanzang, and he, in turn, bases his teaching on the Yogacara Bhumi Shastra, Yuche Shirdi Lun, given to Bodhisattva Maitreya as the speaker. So this was our great pilgrim, Master Xuanzang, who traveled to India and came back and then translated. He devoted many years of his life to teaching the teachings of the Yogacara school, the Wei Shi Zun, the consciousness-only school, taught by by Bodhisattva Maitreya. So there are these two functions. It holds all the seeds that I've done and all the connections that I have with all beings. So that's the eighth consciousness. You say, how much does it weigh? What color is it? They say it's nothing. You can't weigh it. You can't tell you what color it has. So that in that way it's empty, and yet its function is entirely full of these seeds. So you have to hold those two ideas in your mind at the same time. One of the fascinating things about the description of the eighth consciousness is when a cultivator accomplishes Buddhahood, when you can empty out all of those seeds through patiently enduring all of the negativity and wading through all the good stuff, it turns into wisdom. You transform the Olaya Shi into the Yuan Man, Yuan Tong, the Yuan Jing Shi. It's called the perfect mirror wisdom. It is both perfect and it reflects. So that's when it's been emptied out. In the process of emptying it out, you have to be very, very patient in that process. Okay, so that's the eighth consciousness. We have run out of time here. I will continue. We appreciate your questions. Thank you so much. We want these questions to be continuing, and we will try our best to save them and get answers for you in the process. Don't stop asking because the time doesn't allow me to answer every one. Continue, please. All right, there we go. And next week, we have an announcement. Next week, this lecture will begin 1 hour later. In the U.S., daylight savings is coming tomorrow, and we will be explaining 1 hour later. 1:30 is when we start. That means in China, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, it's going to be an hour later. So if you came at 1:30, you have to come at, I came at 12:30 or 10:30, come at 11:30, right? In China and Taiwan. So there you go, an hour later next week. Also, Guanyin Bodhisattva session at City of 10,000 Buddhas. Here at Gold Coast Dharma Realm in a week, we're going to have a Guanyin session as well. So lots of stuff. Stay tuned, lots of stuff going on. We want to dedicate merit now, and we'll do it right here. Please make a wish, send out that goodness to make a better world. as one, radiant with light. Share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Okay, before we quit, we'll make 3 bows to Guanyin Bodhisattva and 3 bows to our teacher. Here we go. First bow. Second bow. And third bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. That's going to do it for us for today. We'll see you all next week. Amitofo, everybody. Bye now.